and welcome to Wednesday, the day on which we play Umineko. Hello, Kat. How are you doing? Uh, Today is it's a big one, so that's exciting. Yeah, welcome to Wednesday. Uh, Normal day of the week, except it's not because we play Umineko today, which is great. And it makes my Wednesdays way more fun. All right, yeah. Gosh, I just want to dive right in, really. So let's start off with our content warnings. I'm glad you're doing good. Content warning for character deaths, detailed descriptions of gore and body horror, child abuse, discussion and mentions of incest, discussion and mentions of suicide, and misogyny. So, those might not all pop up in this specific episode, but we will be talking about a murder today, so you know. Okay, you didn't work it out yet. Cause yeah, for context, if you're joining us now and you don't know what's going on, today we will be revealing the culprit of a mystery posed to us by Burncastle, a murder mystery to be precise. There were a lot of hints and clues, and you basically have to work it out for yourself. And so I made 2 videos last week, one with just a regular episode and one with the hints that were given in the game for anyone who wanted to skip those because they thought, I got this, I want to do this on my own, which totally fair. If that's you, I'd still recommend going back to the hints after today's episode because it'll be fun. But yeah, today we will be announcing who the killers are. So if you don't want to get spoiled on that, turn back, and go watch the VODs. Oh shit, you're right. Well, gave part of it away there on accident. Yeah, there are multiple culprits that we're looking for. If I recall correctly, I figured that part out pretty quickly when I played this myself, or I say pretty quickly, but like after some thinking, right? Simply because that's kind of where the hints lead you. But I did end up just straight up pointing at the wrong people. Because I reasoned one part out wrong, and then that just throws everything else into complete chaos. There's some pretty intricate stuff towards the ending of this mystery. Alright, this is where we left off last time. You had a theory, but it broke down really quick? Dang. I mean, it's good when your theories break down, because that means that, you're thinking critically about your own theories, and also, you're adjusting your viewpoint, and then you can craft a new theory. Not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, we're just gonna go straight to it. Select the culprit or culprits. That's when you have to adjust, and make up a new plan, or theory in this case. Though there are people who just kind of give up at that point. So props for, continuing to think about it. Alright, here is your last chance. If you do not want to know who the culprit or culprits are for this particular mystery in the series, go watch the VODs. They're out there on YouTube and on Twitch. You have options. I don't know, go on a walk, have a drink, I don't know. You can do whatever you want. But don't watch this right now, because you'll be spoiled. I don't know why, but I'm nervous about it. Makes no sense. Absolutely illogical. But I am nervous about it. I don't know why. My brain's just like, this is a big deal. And the rest of my brain is like, oh no, I don't want this to be a big deal, I guess. I'll drink some tea instead. Alright, well, let's go for it. Savor the moment? No thank you. This is anxiety, that's not worth savoring. But hey, they're neatly arranged in a row right here. It's those three. You were close. Kat, I would love to know what your theory was, if you want to share. You got down to the kids, nice. Good job. When I played the first time, I was convinced it was George. I was convinced. Because I misread one of the other parts that basically exclude him from being able to do it. I misread that, and I was convinced it was him. So, oops. Yeah, instead of ruminating on the mystery, we're continuing with Ange.
Somebody. Is anyone there? Oni-chan. Wow.
Ange flew out of the guest house, sobbing. That's a good point, that George is technically not a kid anymore, but I think the cousins do get referred to as the kids. So that would be what that means, because Valor and Jessica are both 18, so they're not kids anymore either, technically. But there's only one kid on the island, which is Maria. But that is a bit wishy-washy. But since George isn't involved, that purple doesn't mean much ultimately about him but not being able to kill a kid, right? Or only being able to kill a kid. Because he's not the culprit. Which I guess would be a pretty big hint, huh? Unless you count Shannon as a kid. Which, that actually tripped me up. Like, if they're referring to George and Jessica and Battler as kids, then Shannon would also be a kid. So, yeah, that would be confusing. It's a tricky mystery for sure, and that's why I love it a lot. You actually thought George killed Shannon. That's what I thought too. Until I went back over it and realized that's not possible because Jessica denies that. So, yeah. But I had the same line of thinking. Marie and her purple tripping me out. And you as well, I imagine. Alright. Was there anyone still alive on this island? When she checked the cousin's room earlier, it had been completely empty. However, she remembered that she hadn't seen Battler's body, or George's, or Maria's. What she didn't know was whether this meant they were safe, or whether she was about to be reunited with them as corpses.
Where are you guys? Where are you? Answer me!
She dashed around through the rain. Where is she going? Nowhere in particular. The lost little sister dashed around in circles, searching for her brother. Drenched with rain and all alone. Eventually, I thought I heard my brother's voice from beyond a bush. No, it wasn't just his voice. I heard George Onichan's and Maria Onichan's voices too. I called out at the top of my lungs, but they didn't answer. But it's okay now. They're right here. Right there, even. Just on the other side of the fence. I could even faintly see them through the fence. When I ran around the fence, I found myself standing in front of a shed or something. It must be a shed to store tools for the rose garden. The three of them were standing in front of the shed.
Oni-chan!
I cried out, but my voice didn't reach them. Even though I yelled so loudly, something felt very wrong about all this. When people hear a voice, even when they pretend not to have heard it, their bodies tend to show some sign that they've noticed. However, there was no trace of that in the three of them. Even though I was screaming so loud, it truly wasn't reaching their ears. The instant I understood that, my dash towards them slowed and came to a halt. Though we appeared to be in the same world, we were actually in different worlds entirely. It was like a TV, or was it more like ghosts? I could see them clearly, but as far as they were concerned, I didn't exist. After all, look, even if I stand right in front of them, their eyes can't see me. If I try and touch them, will I really be able to? What if my hand just goes right through? I was so scared at the thought that I could do nothing but stand there in shock, even though I was so close to them. Damn it! I don't have a clue anymore. Someone must have snuck in from outside the island after all. And that person massacred the Ushinomiya family.
No matter how much we lock ourselves in, someone always gets killed. Ew, it's the work of a witch after all.
Everyone, calm down. Let's calm down and think. No one exists on this island except those with a direct relation to the Ushinomiya family. That doesn't make sense. After all, we've just seen several murders that would be impossible for any one of us. Well, that's true. But is it really? Maybe we've just missed something.
Missed something?
For example... That's right. Maybe someone was playing dead. Since we're the only ones on this island, the culprit must be one of us. That would mean that someone we thought was dead was actually faking. But, Aniki, that's impossible. Every one of the corpses was checked by someone. There's no way any of them were faking. I don't want to think about it, but what if those corpse inspections were also faked? That came out very strange. I'm very sorry, Maria. Oh no. What I'm getting at is this. There were multiple culprits from the start. One plays dead, and the other lies and confirms that the first culprit died. Then, the culprit who played dead keeps on committing crimes, creating the illusion that some stranger has snuck onto the island. Do you still suspect someone in the Ushinomiya family of being the culprit? Dr. Nanja was killed. Since he was killed, it's probably safe to say that he wasn't the culprit. And we can consider the examinations performed by a doctor like him to be the most reliable. If so, then we can probably assume that the people whose death Nanja checked were almost certainly dead. Who did Nanja check? Genji's corpse, Kraus and Natsuhi's corpses. Shannon's corpse. Goda and Kumasawa's corpses. Think back to the beginning and the bodies in the dining hall. Of those 6 victims, Dr. Nanjo only expected Genji-san.
But didn't the rest of us check the others?
Yes, but Dr. Nanjo didn't actually inspect them himself. What are you talking about? How the hell could our parents have survived after being killed like that? Anyway, what do you think you're saying, George Aniki? Wouldn't that mean that one of our parents is the culprit? That's insane. They were killed right at the beginning, and so many of them. How can you go calling our parents culprits on top of that? I won't let anyone, not even you, suspect and slander our parents after they've been killed like that. Sorry.
I know my mama was really dead. So, does that mean George Oni-chan's parents or Balor's parents were the culprits?
Let's stop with that, Maria-chan. I must have lost it a bit just now.
George Oni-chan wouldn't kill Shannon.
That's enough. None of us would kill our family, right?
So, I don't think George Oni-chan would lie and say his parents were dead. Not if they were really alive. There's no way you would help out in a crime if Shannon was going to be killed.
Calmly, as though answering a quiz or a puzzle, Maria spoke to George. Then, with a blank look on her face, she turned to Balor and spoke.
Balor, you saw your mom and dad's corpses, right?
Yeah, I saw them. We all saw them, right? Those pitiful, blood-stained...
I think you're lying.
Huh? Where the hell did that come from?
Because, that way, it all makes sense. Back in the dining hall, your parents weren't dead. One of them killed Aunt Natsuhi and Uncle Kraus, locked the door from the inside, and waited in that room. The other one took over the murders after that.
Holy shit, Maria. Just calmly playing murder mystery while your family's dying. Wow. Maria's a little bit scary sometimes.
To break open the locked room of the guest house, they needed to have an accomplice inside. That was you. That explains everything.
Enough. Stop it, Balor-kun. You too, Maria. Maria-chan. She's been reading too many wolves and sheep puzzles. Yep.
Finally, all the pieces fit together in the wolves and sheep puzzle in my head. The culprits are Balor's family. Ooh. Am I right?
What are you talking about? Correct. The voice came from behind Ange. She spun around, surprised. There, covered in blood, yet wearing cheery expressions, were Rudolph and Kiria. Uncle Rudolph, Aunt Kiria, I'm so glad you're sick. After saying that much, George realized what the words meant, and his face twisted into an expression of shock and horror. Maria wasn't surprised. However, she showed no joy at having her answer proven correct. And as for Balor, Ange saw it. A terrible expression that she would never forget as long as she lived. It was a demon's smile. A hideous demon that she'd never be able to look at again twisted its face in a foul grin. And the truly horrible thing was that she saw it on her brother's face. Rudolph and Kiria lifted up the guns that they had been holding behind them. The barrels were pointed at the foreheads of George who was staggering backwards, and Maria, who was grinning as though she didn't care what happened. There was a flash of lightning and a crack of thunder. Nothing more could be heard. Then, as George and Maria were snapped around by that roar, the strings holding them were snipped. The two dolls fell into puddles with a splash and stopped moving.
Dad. Mom.
All of this occurred right before Ange's eyes. New CG, and I kinda hate it. This is awful. Please don't make me laugh anymore. My throat hurts. This is very cursed. Oh my god. I don't know what they did with Balor's face in particular, but it doesn't look like him at all. And at the same time it does. That's really impressive, actually. Ange, who stood stunned beside them, wasn't visible to their eyes. They guffawed, overcome with laughter. Then, right in front of Ange, they started joking and complimenting each other on their kills so far. The three hideous faces, the faces of her family, made Ange want to cry and vomit at the same time, and she felt as though she would suffocate. Ange dashed away, covering her mouth. She wanted to escape the disgusting laughter coming from her beloved family as soon as possible. Then, she slipped and fell face down in a puddle of mud. Ange didn't try to get up. In fact, she instead chose to cover her ears and to block out the disgusting laughter that she could still hear. As she did, from the shadows of the fences and bushes in this inky black rose garden, several dark things slipped into sight. Uh-oh. Ange looked around herself in surprise, to see that eerie black shapes that appeared from all over the garden and were slowly surrounding her. It was a crowd of people with goat heads. Their outfits were all different. Some wore suits, while others were dressed casually. However, all of them were covered with darkness, and all of them had goat heads. Ange, bewildered, accidentally let her hands fall from her ears. By now, she couldn't hear that disgusting laughter. However, in its place, she could hear the words spoken by the goats. Kitty and Rudolph are the culprits.
Balor is the culprit. Balor is the culprit.
Balor culprit theory. Balor's family culprit theory. As the goats continued to mumble in eerie voices, they surrounded Ange and began to draw nearer. They all pressed around her, each of them speaking of Ange's family as the culprits. At first, everyone had joined in on the Eva culprit theory. The sole survivor from Little Genjima had gotten almost all of the wealth to herself, so the theory was only natural. Why was Ushirumi Eva the only one who escaped to Kurodoyo? And why did she refuse so stubbornly to talk about what happened that day? It was decided that the Eva culprit theory explained all of this. However, when Eva died of illness, and people learned that all the vast wealth she had created by unscrupulous means would go to Ange, public opinion, or rather, the forgers, created a new culprit theory and spread it around. This was the Rudolph's family culprit theory. If it was normal for everyone to come to the family conferences, why was Ange the only one who didn't come this time? Did Rudolph's family have some reason for not bringing the young Ange with them? They did take Balor, but he wasn't Kitty's son. Then, when it was revealed in some magazines that Kitty's family had close ties to a massive gangster organization, all eyes suddenly gathered on Kitty herself. Then, the truth was also laid bare about how Rudolph had made a killing out of fraudulent business practices. And almost immediately, the couple became thought of as the most suspicious people on the island. Hideyoshi and Ava's company might have been rough, but at least it had operated within the law. However, the more Rudolph's company was investigated, the more dirt was dug up. Furthermore, trouble surrounding some party tickets from the time Rudolph and Kitty were students was also testified to. It was clear that they were far more suspicious than Ava's family. And so, in a flash, the Rudolph's family culprit theory expelled the other conspiracy theories, including the Ava culprit theory, and reigned as the greatest of them all. It wasn't really because it was more plausible than the Ava culprit theory. They had just gotten bored of the old theory and wanted a new sensation. The goats seemed to bend and undulate. The sky rapidly turned white, becoming a ceiling lit by fluorescent lamps. The goats had changed completely, becoming the shapes of girls, wearing goat masks. All of the girls were wearing the same clothes. It was a uniform. The uniform of St. Lucia Academy.
Did you hear the real culprits were Rudolph and Kitty? Oh, I heard that. Yeah, I knew there was something suspicious about them leaving their kid behind.
Didn't Shinomiya Ava say herself that she was being poisoned to death?
Isn't it obvious who was behind that? Must be nice for her. She gets her whole family's riches all to herself, right? I always knew that the Rudolph's family culprit theory was right.
They should have picked a snappier name for that one, honestly. It's very hard to pronounce.
I always thought there was something strange about Shinomiya-san. We always thought she was weird. Rudolph and Kitty did it. Wasn't Balor part of it too? Rudolph's family culprit theory. Rudolph and Kitty were the culprits. They tried to get the family wealth all to themselves, but they failed at the hands of Ava. But in the end, Shinomiya Ange gets everything anyway, doesn't she? Rudolph and Kitty are the culprits, of course. Rudolph's family culprit theory. Rudolph and Kitty and Balor did it. Rudolph and Kitty and Balor did it. They're saying your family did it, Shinomiya-san. What do you think of that? Come on, tell us.
But in the end, you get all the family wealth to yourself, don't you?
Even at the end, Shinomiya Ava never told you anything, right? I always knew there was something wrong with that girl.
This also explains why Ava hated you so much.
Hey, say something. Tell us what you think.
She really is a creepy kid, isn't she?
At least say something about what you think of the theory, you sicko.
A blade of air swept over me as I crouched down, holding my head. In a flash, the illusion of the goat-headed girl students who were surrounding me shattered. I was curled up in a puddle in the rainy rose garden, surrounded by goats. But then, those goats were also sliced in half, and the upper halves slid to the side. It was like seeing a master swordsman slicing through a stick of bamboo.
This way.
The voice came from that black cat. The black cat with the bell that had guided me here. Incredible that it can talk. But That doesn't matter now. I dashed away after it. The goat shrank back. A hole opened up in the encirclement. The black cat dashed through it. As I hurried through after it, the goats began to chase after me. Countless heavy footsteps thundered behind us.
Where are you running to, Mr. Cat?
The cat ignored my stupid question. Where are you running to? It's obvious. As far away as we can make it. However, there are an unbelievable number of goats. It wasn't just the group chasing us. There were probably goats hiding throughout the rose garden, and everywhere we went, a group of them would appear and block our path. Each time we bumped into them, we ran down a different path in this maze of a rose garden. So, I didn't even know which direction we were running in anymore. It couldn't be that we're just running around in circles inside a massive crowd of goats, could it? When we ran into the arbor once more, I learned that my fears were justified. The 4 paths that led from the arbor were all blocked by a crowd of goats. Of course, the path we had come down was also blocked by our pursuers. There was nowhere to go, nowhere to return to. We were finally trapped.
Mr. Cat, what should we do? We're surrounded.
With a defensive posture, the black cat glared at the goats that surrounded us. It's all over for us. At that moment, I found myself floating in the air. A massive arm, large enough to crush my entire head, had grabbed my collar from behind. Before I could even think to cry out, I saw, right in front of my face, a pair of strangely glowing red eyes, with a massive mouth with jagged teeth and a foul breath. The mouth opened wide, and, writhing as though it was a separate creature, a disturbing tongue stuck itself out. Then, it spat words at me. Rudolph, Kiria, and Valor are the culprits. Rudolph and Kiria played dead, and Valor lied when he inspected them. Then, one of the parents carried out the murders until the second Twilight and hid under the bed in Natsuhi's room. Valor killed Shannon, and then assisted in the murders in the guest house. The other parents carried out the guest house murders. This is the truth. Then, that gaping, smelly mouth slowly began to close over Ange's head.
Counter. It's possible to form a logical theory other than the Rudolph's family culprit theory.
A blue flash sliced off the top of the mouth that was trying to eat Ange's head, sending it flying. I fell into a puddle, along with the goat that was still grasping my collar. Grasping my collar, though there was nothing left of it above its jaw. Without any hesitation, the goats stretched out their thick arms as though this was their chance to snatch this prey for themselves, and they rushed towards me. All of them spoke in unison. Everything except the Rudolph's family culprit theory is impossible. Absolutely impossible. Were the 3 L's because they're goats and they're like doing goat noises? Well, that's an odd choice for spelling. It's possible to form a logical theory other than the Rudolph's family culprit theory. For example, a theory with George's family as the culprits is possible. A red flash and a blue line became blades of wind that passed over my head. flew at the goat that had tried to pick me up and sliced both its arms off like a knife through butter. I think the next goats dashed not towards me, but towards the black cat that was protecting me from behind. As I sat on my butt, staring up at the rainy night sky, the massive goats were in the air right above me, fighting the black cat, or someone. The George's family culprit theory is impossible. Now there's 3 eyes? Oh, they're just slurring, okay. George can't kill Shannon, so he can't be a culprit, and he can't fake when checking corpses.
No, it is possible. A culprit is defined as one who murders. It never says that they have to murder someone who appears in the story. In other words, if George committed murder outside the island sometime before this crime, he could be a culprit without killing anyone on the island, and it would be possible for him to lie.
The deep red curves cut by the swings bit into the goat. It's a stretch, but it absolutely works, is the thing. I know this because I considered it myself for a bit. George crushed an insect once. I mean, if he did, he's a murderer to me. I'm kidding. It's, you know, it's okay. But another issue with the culprit wording in this particular mystery is intent. It just says you need to kill someone. It doesn't say that you know, you intended to do so or planned to do so, or wanted a person dead, so that doesn't rule out like accidental death either. So you know, it's pretty flexible, really. But you're right, it's a stretch for sure. Its massive body was knocked into the air and became a bundle of roughly 7 logs of flesh. Gross. Logs of goat flesh, and was thrown into the rose bushes. This time, the terrible force of the attack shocked the goats. They faltered, shook, stepped back. Finally, I understood. That red slice. It had come from a weapon that could draw red trails. No, it had also drawn blue trails just a second ago. Did I miss a line? A massive sigh that could speak both types of truth, red and blue, at will. I looked up at the sky, then let my head hang down backwards. There was no black cat there. It was a girl, holding a large sigh.
How's that? A deduction like this is trivial for Furudo Erika.
A stir passed through the crowd of goats as they acknowledged the presence of this girl who called herself Erika. It was clear that her mere existence here was potent enough to unsettle them. Clutching me in her arms, Erika leapt into the air and landed as light as a feather on top of the arbor. Then, she let go of me, still wielding her scythe, made an elegant curtsy to the crowd of goats surrounding us, and still clutching us. Every time I miss a word, I get confused on the grammar, and then I read back and it's like, oh, that's why it was weird. I was the bad guy.
This is probably the first time most of you have met me. Allow me to introduce myself. Hello, and good day. I'm Furudo Erika, the detective. Let's have the blockheads who can only think the Rudolph's family culprit theory step down. If anyone thinks they can counter my argument, please feel free. Naturally, I welcome the challenge.
Redemption arc? Question mark. The goats all howled at once. It seemed to be a cry of shock, of fear, or possibly of wonder. The goats surrounded the arbor, chattering but not moving any closer. None of them had the courage to stand against this detective, this witch of truth called Furudo Erika.
Good grief. All those thousands and this is the best you can do. None of you has the courage to fight Furudo Erika in a battle of words. Too bad. Let's put an end to this. Then again, I am the great Furudo Erika. I don't have the time to waste on countering all you blockheads one by one. I'll let her clean up the rest. You're up.
When Erika cried out, red cracks opened in the dark night sky. They looked like the spiderweb-shaped fissures that appear when a glass window has been struck hard. No, it actually was a spiderweb, colored blood red. A laugh, a witch's laugh, rang out through the spiderweb-covered world. It sounded somehow familiar to Ange. And there, standing above the spiderweb, gazing down on the goats who must have looked like ensnared little bugs, was the witch. Redemption arc? I have to rack my brain to remember how I did her voice. I think it was very similar to Erika, actually.
You forget me, and you call him the ruler of Rokkenjima. You forget me, and you think Rudolph is the culprit.
It was the witch who lurked inside of Eva. The witch of the future, who would one day call herself an endless witch until the cat box closed over this world.
Who dares speak of the murders of this island without involving Eva Beatrice? How impertinent! On this island, who lives and who dies is totally up to me. All the wealth and gold is mine. Everything about October 4th and 5th in 1986 is mine to do with as I please. It all belongs to me, Eva Beatrice.
Eva swung her one-winged staff at the crowd of foolish goats beneath her, and sentenced them to death. Sucks to be goats. The spiderweb ceiling covering the heavens plummeted, and more spiderwebs seeped out of the ground at the goats' feet. Then, the webs from above and below met, and thousands upon thousands of goats were caught in their grasp. They'll make a great stew. I don't know, I feel like they'd be pretty foul. Then, as Eva swung her staff, it swirled. Around and around, like egg yolk being mixed in a bowl. Eventually, it was all packed into a massive, blood-red lump of goo. Gotta love the imagery that Eva Beatrice generally brings with her. The moans of goats drifted out from inside. God, you were right about the stew. That entire crowd had been compressed into a meatball a few meters across.
So, you morons doubt that I'm the culprit? Reaching the Eva culprit theory and giving up there is good enough for the likes of you. Why don't you just get...
I'm not saying that. That is the shittiest pun I've ever seen in my life. I'm not saying that. I'm sorry. This is the new translation out of it again. I say new, it's a different group that have edited the original translation, which was perfectly fine. It didn't need editing in most cases, honestly. And I'm very mad about the new this different translation. Including for this horrible pun. Okay, I'm not okay with this. I'm trying to remember what the original line would have been. Was it shut up and die? I think it was shut up and die. Shinjaiba, yeah.
Why don't you just get crushed and and shut up and die?
I refuse. I refuse. It's terrible. They didn't even capitalize the correct letter. Why would you capitalize the V? You should have... anyway. Sorry. I... Puns. I don't like them. She is far more vitriolic. I think in the original Japanese she says, like, swallow your tongue and die. So, you know. It's pretty bad. If she says that again, I'm skipping it again. Just so you know. And I know that the pun is super cringe in the original version as well. But I'm A-okay with leaving it out because Oreva it's terrible. And like that is so on the nose, that is nowhere close to what it is in Japanese either, because it's ugh. Sorry, I'm just mad about it. Part of the reason I'm so mad is that this translation also leaves out references to Agatha Christie, Ellery Queen, who were both named in the original text, and they took out those references and just replaced them with a mystery author. But those authors are, like, in part the inspiration for not just the characters, but this story. So just leaving those out feels really gross to me. And I just... I want to say dishonorable, but that seems really, like, old. I don't know. Disrespectful to the story and the author and the people who worked on it, really. I don't know. And yes, I will die on this hill. Yeah, it's just, they just, for no reason, leave out significant parts, and I genuinely can't even think of why you would make that choice. Why would you do that? What are you adding that by leaving something like that out? You're not gaining anything from that. You're just making things sound more vague and muddled. And especially in the case of the Agatha Christie reference, it's really egregious because that's a reference to And Then There Were None, which is literally what the story is inspired by super heavily. People get stuck on an island. People start dying. Only one person left at the end, right? Or I think And Then There Were None because, you know, then there were none. No people left at the end. They thought people who read Umineko don't read Agatha Christie? Oh my god. If they do, they are clowns. Clowns. Clowns, I tell you. Agatha Christie's fucking great, by the way. And you should read her books. They're really good. Especially the ones where people get poisoned, which sounds really weird. Out of context, sounds really weird. But she works in an apothecary, so she really knew her stuff, so it's super realistic. And that, you know, ties into the mysteries, so if you have any kind of knowledge about that, even if it's just random vague trivia, that can help you solve the mysteries, and it's super cool. And also, it can help you figure out what to do if you get, like, poisoned. Although some of the knowledge is, you know, dated by now. But still, it's really good. I also think it's an insult to Agatha Christie specifically and Ellery Queen. The Ellery Queen is a writing duo, right? Am I remembering that right? Anyway. Yeah, just siphon the blood from your veins. Just get rid of all your blood. You're poisoned, you don't need it anymore. That'll work. Oh boy. Yeah, I needed a vent break apparently. Holy shit, sorry about that. I do feel like I'm entitled. We're like 78 episodes in this series. I'm allowed to have a little vent every now and then. In like, what, 300 almost 300 hours of reading, I think, at this point? I think so, yeah. So what's one little vent, right? Okay. Squelch. No other word could do that sound justice. After sucking in all of those goats, the spiderweb ball vanished into thin air with a squelch. And thank you, yeah, I kind of agree. I'm really proud of myself for getting this far with the series. And, you know, all the work I put into the visuals and the planning and the editing the videos, that sort of stuff. Yeah. I'm really happy with this little corner of the internet we all dug out. After that, Sam was going to focus on reading for now, instead of getting distracted all the time by himself. After that, there wasn't even a trace left. Only the nighttime scenery of the rose garden remained, silent but for the sound of the falling rain. Ava drifted down from the sky. Your aunt will always be on your side, Ange-chan. I'll never let anyone insult your family. Aunt Ava. I knew I should be grateful, and yet, it really wasn't easy for me to believe that Aunt Ava was my ally. Ava realized that too. Don't worry. I'm not doing this because I want to be thanked, but I'll always be on your side. See you later. She giggled, spun around, and vanished. Now that she had already left, I started to regret not saying even a thank you. So, I figured I should at least thank the other person who had saved me. Thanks for saving me. Who are you? I already knew her name. What I was really asking was why she had saved me. I'm Furuto Erika, the detective, and I'm also a witch. A witch? A witch of truth. A witch who searches for the single truth. And you're the same, aren't you? Those 2 days, October 4th and 5th, 1986. I was so desperate to know what happened that I took a step off the roof of that skyscraper, drifted through several witch games and fragment worlds, and abandoned myself to this long journey with no rewards. All I want is to know what happened that day. All I want is the single truth of that day. Looking for something like that is what makes someone a witch of truth. So, you're just the same as me. That's why I came to save you. I want to know just what happened on that day. No one will tell me. No one knows. But I know something happened that day. I'd give up anything to learn what that was. That's the one thing I need to know no matter what, even if it kills me. So tell me, do you know the answer? What happened on this island?
To a witch of truth, is the truth something that is given? If I told you that such and such was the truth, would you really just accept whatever I said? No, I wouldn't. What did Balor-san show you today?
Today, Oni-chan showed me a bizarre Halloween party. It may have been heartwarming and a lot of fun, but it definitely wasn't the truth.
Didn't Balor-san show you that saying it was the truth? It isn't. That couldn't be the truth. Sometimes, other people will try to mislead us by claiming they know the truth. But a real witch of truth must continue to pursue the single truth without being led astray. That's why you can't accept the fake truth that Balor-san's trying to force on you. You care about finding the one real truth more than anything. Yeah.
Oni-chan is trying to muddy the waters. I felt that this whole time. Even though he knows everything about what happened that day, he won't tell me anything at all. How is he any different from Aunt Eva, who mocked me and refused to tell me anything, even until the very moment of her death? Why won't Oni-chan tell me?
Why? Why won't he tell me?
The dam inside my heart burst.
Why won't Oni-chan tell me what really happened? Why? Why? I'm the only one who doesn't know. No one's telling me the truth. Tell me. Tell me what happened that day, Oni-chan. Oni-chan.
I cried out at the rainy night sky. Hot tears poured from my eyes, but they were covered by the cold rain that beat against me, so no one other than me would know that they were tears. No one would know my pain and sadness. I'm always the only one left out, all alone.
Someone, tell me. Tell me what happened that day. No one can tell you. After all, truth is something you can only grasp on your own. Where is the truth? How can I find it? Everyone's hiding it. They won't tell me. I'll grasp it myself. So please, just tell me where the truth is hidden.
Very well. I can tell you. As that voice rang out, the world bent and swirled. After blinking several times, I realized that the world had become a sea of stars. No, that's not quite right. There are stars up there in the sky, but those lights below me aren't stars. They're lights from building windows, street lights, car lights. I was floating in the dark sky, over a city lined with skyscrapers.
I can't tell you what the truth is. However, if it's a question of how the truth can be reached, I can show you the way.
Various bad memories are jumping out at me from the back of my mind. That's right. I was chained in place in that strange theater thing and forced to watch a repulsive fragment where Mom and Dad committed murder.
I never said that what you saw was the truth. But you used the red to... You yelled out and interrupted, and stopped me from saying anything more. This is all truth of a sort, but not necessarily true. That's what I was about to say. Just how far are you willing to go to mock me? I apologize. But I did want to test you.
Test me how?
I wanted to see if you were ready to accept the truth, no matter what it may be. The truth can betray you sometimes. In fact, there are times when it shows itself as the thing you desire least. That fragment I showed you was probably the worst one imaginable for you. However, you aren't fit to reach the truth unless you have the strength and the courage to withstand it, even if it's something like that.
I have no comeback. Finding the truth is my goal. I just want to know what happened on that island on that day. I don't think of myself as wanting to hear only the facts that are pleasing to me. Have I really been prepared to face the bloody, unbearable truth that's probably waiting there for me? If I find the truth, it'll mean having to confront my family's tragic end directly and accept it as it is. And accepting that means abandoning any faint hope for that convenient miracle. The idea that one of them might have survived somehow and might return even though 12 years have passed. Even though I know a miracle like that would be completely ridiculous, if I'm honest with myself, I have to admit that the faint hope it brought me has given me comfort these past 12 years. I want to know the truth, but I want one of them to come back. Those two wishes contradict each other. By learning the truth, I'll be forced to accept that no one's coming home.
The truth is always cruel. At times, it can even cut down your hopes. Most of the time, humans don't realize the costs of learning the truth. I simply wanted to see if you had the necessary resolve.
I must choose between my two contradicting wishes. Will I find the truth and abandon my optimistic hopes for my family's return? Or will I give up on the truth and keep waiting for the family that's never actually going to come back? Deceiving my numb self forever with the childish illusion my brother provided for me.
Tell me, Ange, are you truly determined to learn the truth?
I am.
And your resolve will not falter?
It won't. After hearing my immediate reply, Berncastle stared at me. Are those expressionless eyes of hers measuring my resolve? Now that my brother has even gone to the lengths of becoming a game master to cover up the truth, the only thing I can rely on in my search for the truth is the path that Berncastle can show me.
Deep in your eyes, I see the glint of one who seeks the truth.
Will you tell me? Will you show me the way that leads to the truth?
Yes, I'll guide you. Did you forget, Ange? I am your guardian, am I not?
When did I last hear Berncastle use that word? That's right. At the very beginning, I met her in this future world and became a witch, with her as my guardian. That's when I become the Beatrice of 1998, the one who could defeat the Beatrice of 1986.
You are the Beatrice of 1998. Ange Beatrice. I became your guardian and recognized you as a witch. However, you aren't an endless witch like Beato.
A witch of truth.
That's right. You're like Erica, A witch of truth. I will seek the single truth, undeceived by any illusions. As a witch of truth, Ange Beatrice has the power to reach the single truth, right? Yes. However, up until now, you have been unable to use this power. Do you know why? I do now. Even as I sought the truth, I unconsciously resisted finding it out. Exactly. Finding the truth was your goal, but at the same time, you were unconsciously afraid that learning the truth would mean losing that miracle of your family coming back. So, you didn't have what it took to stretch your hand out to the single truth. You're completely right. I have to admit that I was naive. I must admit it. My entire family is dead. And with the recognition of that fact, I must expose why they died and who was behind it. Thanks. The fragment you showed me in that dark theater was there to open my eyes. Many games have gone by, waiting for you to become a true witch of truth. But I think there was a purpose for all of it. After all, now, in this final game, you have become a witch of truth. Tell me, what happened on the island that day? I won't ask you to tell me that directly. So, guide me. What can I do to reach the truth? It's a bit too chilly in here. Out here, I guess. I just invented a word there that wasn't in the line. Let's move. To where? To a place better for drinking tea.
Speaking of tea, I am going to get some. Because I ran out of stuff for my throat, so tea is my only option. So I'm going to be right back. Alright, here we are again. I also got some water for the extra backup hydration. Because oh boy do I need it. I did something weird with my vocal cords on Friday when I was recording the hint video. And my throat's been fucky ever since. So congrats me for hurting myself by speaking. That's a new low. Very typical of me though. Also, thank you. Welcome back to you as well. Alright, gotta wait for the tea to cool down a bit, but I'm sure that'll help in a sec. I'll just keep going in the meantime. Aging has been okay for the most part. It's the... I think this is a me problem, not an age problem. I just talk wrong, I don't know. I breathe wrong, I talk wrong, it fucks up everything. And I need to learn how to not do it bad, I guess. I'm gonna look into that. And I'll report back at some point to say how that's going. Maybe one day I'll just sound normal and not... Well, I probably sound normal to you, but to me it sounds like I swallowed one of those, you know, washing board things that... You know, that they play as an instrument in sort of cowboy type background music. It's really specific, I know, but what are they called? I think it's a washerboard. Anyway, you're loud and fast. You want to trade? Or like even it out, maybe. The washboard is an instrument in Futurama? What? I think I missed that episode. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's an instrument in real life, unless you're talking about a different type of thing. I'll look it up later, and then I'll put it in the fun facts. In case I don't have a fun fact for this episode. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a real thing. But I'll do some googling later. You always wanted a new voice. The same, but mainly because mine hurts a lot. Which I guess would mean if you trade, then your voice would be hurting a lot, and I wouldn't want that to happen, so This plan needs rethinking. I'll see if I can fix it, and then we can swap. Massive applause filled the hall. And then I hit the button in the wrong window. There we go. Artificial vocal cords would be rad, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you can try like robot voices and stuff. Text-to-speech is really good and natural sounding nowadays. Never have to speak again. 3D printing, true. Very doable, actually. Worth a try, maybe. Probably not. Because I imagine you'd have to get rid of the old one. Alright. Massive applause filled the hall. It was applause in honor of a good fight. Applause in honor of Burncastle. Yes, Lady Burncastle's game was another splendid one. We're going to reveal her game board to all of you, so have a go at it. It's pretty awesome. But you solved it in the end all the same.
A game that no one can solve isn't a game. The main point is whether it was fun or not.
It was fun. I guarantee it. Same here. At first I thought there was no way anyone could solve it, but the way you can use one confirmed purple statement after another to narrow down the suspect made for a nice puzzle. Come, everyone. Gather around, gather around. Just what sort of game is Lady Burncastle's mystery? That's for you to find out for yourselves. They're just like me for real. That's basically what I did last week. Like, don't jump ahead to the hints. Think about it for yourself. Because it's more fun that way. Objects resembling chessboards were set out on several tables. Crowds gathered around each, looking down with interest. Ho ho! It's like a logic puzzle. Quite an orthodox one, don't you think? So, this is what a witch's game is like. Looking at it like this, it's just a game. But for the pieces, it's a massive series of crimes. Indeed it is. It would not do to waste such a rare gift from Lady Burncastle. Let us take this opportunity to enjoy ourselves. Still, this is a tough one. It almost makes you wonder if it was even made to be solvable, doesn't it? Can't get anywhere unless you start by believing it was made to be solvable. A battle of wits can't begin until you trust the questioner that the problem can be solved. And we'll guarantee that it can. Come on, have a go at it. With Battler's encouragement, discussions over Burncastle's mystery game began at each table. The mix of humans and fantasy creatures in heated discussion was truly a sight to behold. Beato and Burncastle sat in a chair far off from the discussion. Would you like some tea? Any kind of calming black tea for me. With milk, if you don't mind. As you wish. Is there anything you need, Lady Burncastle? Please add some dried plums to some black tea. That's the trick to making terrible tea drinkable. Rude. Come now, don't sulk. We're honestly complimenting your game for being such a fun one. Since she had emerged victorious in the game, Burncastle had put all her heart into. The look on Beato's face was positively gleeful. I'm not sulking. My face just looks this way. That's no excuse to be like, your tea sucks, though, before you've even had any. Unbelievable. When I managed to spot Burn's own kind of warmth in that expression of hers, I feel like I've climbed to the pitch black top of a snowy mountain and found the most beautiful star. It's her way of complimenting it. Yeah, probably. Well, sorry for having an eternally frosty face. How difficult it is to compliment Lady Burncastle. No matter what you say, she always takes it in a bad way. That's okay. She's the kind who will think about it for hours later on. The type who lies in bed thinking about it and hugging her pillow. Yep, that's Burn. That's totally Burn. Beato and Lambda Delta giggled together. Burncastle shrugged and looked away. Seriously though, this really was a fun, puzzling game. Was it? Thanks. Even though you could have made it unsolvable, you really did make it to be solved. It's not something you can do unless you plan on enjoying a fair game. I like games where I win no matter what. Games that I might lose are just a pain. Later, I'd like to switch sides and try another one. I'll make a puzzle, and we'll see if you can solve it. A game for you to win against me. Of course, I'll use all the know-how I've picked up in my fights with Beata to make it super hard. I'm gonna be aiming to win 2 in a row. Both you and Beato. You have such an interesting way of thinking. How's that? A game is just a means to decide who wins and who loses, right? When you create one, your own victory should be your highest priority. So, why would you go to all the trouble of making a game you might lose? What fun is there in a game that you always win? That's not even a game. Victory and defeat. It's fun because you're taking part in a fair competition, balance between those two outcomes. A game isn't a fight. It's communication. You enjoy the process. And if you manage to win, well, that's just an added bonus. Finally, I clearly understand the difference between how all of you think and how I think. What difference? For you, this is communication. It isn't for me. The world you live in must be pretty savage. And what about you? Wasn't it the same for you until you understood Beato's game? An eternal game is eternal torture,
Have you already completely forgotten about that pain you suffered?
There were days I did think that, but the game is over now. At the end of a game, I don't complain about stuff that's in the past. What happens on the field stays on the field.
That is the critical difference between you and me, I think. Your eternal torture was something you could laugh off and forget. Mine wasn't nearly so trivial. That's all there is to it.
I don't know your history. It sounds like you had it rough.
To think I'm getting sympathy from a promoted piece. I must be losing my touch.
Berncastle, sipping the black tea that Genji had brought her, gazed up at the ceiling with a faraway look. Valor may not have known her history, but even he was able to understand a bit of how she felt. Are you being tortured by someone right now?
Are you kidding? I'm as free as can be. I'm not bound by anyone's shackles.
Then that's a good thing, isn't it? At least things are better for you now.
True. It's much better now than it once was. Though I am on this long, endless journey to escape from boredom.
Then, at the very least, your encounters here should have been a good thing for you.
Indeed. Even the taste of defeat has driven boredom away from me for a time.
No. Valor is shaking his head and laughing. We're friends who have enjoyed fighting in a fair game.
So?
If your days are filled with nothing except running away from boredom, feel free to drop by our place every now and then. We'd love to welcome a friend. And we'll spare no effort in setting up all the entertainment needed to help a friend escape from boredom.
You think you can prepare entertainment interesting enough to help me, the great Berncastle, escape boredom for even a night?
I do. That's what it means to be a friend. We won tonight's game, so the next time you come, we'll switch sides. This time, we'll entertain you with one of our games. Of course, we don't intend to let you win easily. We'll challenge you to a devilishly twisted logic game. It won't be something you can solve in a night. It'll be good enough to make you stay for months, racking your brains over it.
You would entertain the great Berncastle as a friend?
Yeah, we would.
After talking with you, even this dried plum tea is starting to taste sickly sweet. What a pain.
I heard from Beato. Sounds like this dried plum tea stuff is one of your favorites. Next time, I'll toss some high-class dried plums covered in gold leaf into your tea, so make sure you come again.
If you really plan to do that, I suggest you find some better tea to start with. Tea like this doesn't inspire me to pay you a second visit.
Ah, come on. Guess you drink high-grade black tea all the time. Alright, then next time, why don't you invite us to somewhere we can drink some of this high-quality tea?
Me invite you.
It's only fair, right? We've treated you, now it's your turn.
Yes, it would only be fair. It would be only fair, even.
So, let's have the game be fair too. Let's switch sides and start a new game. I'm looking forward to it. We won this time, but who knows about the next?
That's some confidence you got there. And yet, I'm afraid you're mistaken on one point.
What's that?
My game isn't over yet. I wonder who will win in the end.
After taking one more sip of her black tea, Berncastle set her cup on the table, wearing a thin smile.
The tea here's far too sweet to drink. Thank you, Genji. Take this away, please.
As you wish. Berncastle asked for her tea to be taken away after taking only 2 sips. Battler smiled, realizing that this was just Berncastle's way of being shy. Okay. Battler, why are you smiling with such a foolish, carefree face? If you really think this final game will be nothing but a happy epilogue, then I'll have to invite you all to a proper game for bringing this tale to a close. Battler, you forget things too easily. Don't you remember in whose hands lie the key to this final game? The inside of my nose itched. I'd never regained consciousness to a smell before. Slowly, I opened my eyes. Wait, when did I lose consciousness in the first place? I don't remember going to sleep or falling unconscious. That's right. Berncastle invited me to come to a place better for drinking tea. That's when my memory gets hazy. And since the smell of black tea is what woke me up, where am I?
Aurora's study. I hate to admit it, but her taste in tea really is excellent.
I was sitting on what appeared to be a sofa in a dimly lit study. Berncastle sat across from me, and right before my eyes was a beautiful cup filled with steaming hot tea.
Isn't this place...
I remembered. I've been here before. Wasn't it... How pleasant it is to see you again, child of man. Yes, that voice. Just hearing it brings back memories. Long time no see, my master. I didn't think I would get the chance to welcome you into my study again. To think that that game of yours is still continuing.
It won't be continuing much longer. This is the end, the true final game.
This was the study of Featherine Augustus Aurora, the majestic witch of theater-going, drama, and spectating. Once in the past, I was summoned by her in order to be her reader, or Miko. Don't tell me you want me to read again. I wasn't the one who called you here. My Miko brought the two of us together. For what reason?
Isn't it obvious? To show you the path that leads to the truth.
You'll show me the way, Featherine? I'm the witch of theater going, though I dislike interfering with the actors on the stage.
So, between Balor's boring play and my exciting one that manipulates the branches of fate, which would you rather watch? I know you can't stand even a minute of boredom. As Featherine rocked her rocking chair, she looked up at the ceiling and chuckled. She clearly holds some key to the truth I seek. And yet, you are literally the one holding the key. I can do nothing but tell you where to find the keyhole, child of man.
I don't remember saying anything out loud, but Featherine answered my question as though I had. Come to think of it, that's right. Featherine can read the thoughts of a mere child of man like me as easily as she can hear me speak. Well, I guess that'll help us get to the point quicker. Oni-chan gave me this key, but he just said something about how I'd know how to use it when the time was right. He didn't tell me what it's actually for. Do you two know? What is this key for? Oni-chan said it was something very precious. Explain, my Miko.
No way. You explain.
You demand that your master explain.
You've got to participate on the stage every now and then. Otherwise, you'll just go senile all the faster.
My. And yet, the memory of my long overdue appearance on the stage when Ange was reader should have been enough to last me a few more centuries.
Tell me. What is this key?
A physical manifestation of the decision you are to make. This tale, and this game, will end by asking you to make a certain decision. What you hold there is the act of your decision, embodied in the form of a key.
A physical manifestation of my decision. Exactly. Ultimately, Balor is probably planning to put you in front of two doors, both of which can be opened by the key. Then, he'll ask you to choose which door to open. He must have told you that much, right?
He didn't tell me anything at all. He just kept saying things like, "You'll know when the time comes." No one will tell me anything. Not Oni-chan, not anyone. Battler probably wants to respect a decision that you make by your own free will.
But, Ange, you should have at least started to figure it out by now, right?
Figure what out?
There's an answer Battler wants you to choose, isn't there?
Those words made my heart jump in my chest. I've been thinking that. Oni-chan is clearly trying to distance me from the truth, to gloss over it with a vague tale that's almost like a daydream. At the 1986 family conference, everyone had a wonderful time as they faded away. Everyone is smiling down on you from heaven, so you don't need to feel alone, even in 1998. So give it your all and live on by yourself. I get the very strong sense that Oni-chan is intending to end it just like that. And every time I ask him about it, he dodges the issue and says something about how the decision will be mine in the end.
That's right. It may appear that Balor is giving you a fair choice, but he's actually scheming to get you to choose one of the two answers. You've already seen the farce of a tale that he's using to do that, right?
That unbelievably bizarre Halloween party. Everyone's so strangely friendly that it was almost sickening. I've already seen more than enough of that tale, so sickly sweet it makes me want to vomit. Where Ishiromi Akinzo showered me with affection, where his children swore to support each other, where everyone was filled with happiness and hope. He's trying to trick me with those chummy scenes so he can keep me away from the truth. He's such a coward. Certainly, he might be called a coward from your perspective. But remember, if you are a player in this game and Balor's the game master, what does that mean?
In the past, Balor was a player and Beato was the game master. And they each fought for their own respective truths. So, What is it this time?
I'm a player, and Oni-chan's the game master. Could it be that I've misunderstood everything from the very beginning? Oni-chan said he'd tell me what happened that day, so I was under the impression I'd learn everything if I followed him. How would that be any different than, say, Oni-chan accepting everything Beato said about the crimes being the work of a witch? What a stupid mistake I've been making. This game has always been a fight between me and Oni-chan. I'm surprised you participated in the game without realizing that.
Battler really is sly. He just started up the final game without letting you realize that simple fact. Well, it was the same back in Beato's games. Battler was drawn into her game before he knew what was happening. Before he even knew how to fight. That's why I taught him how. It's exactly the same now. You were forced to start this game before you understood anything about it, and I've come to tell you the truth. To tell you who you're fighting against, and for what.
I was too shocked to speak. And finally, I realized what I needed to accomplish in this game. I've always been passive. I was sure that Oni-chan would tell me everything. So I naively thought I just had to believe whatever he said. No, that was wrong. This game is a battle between me, the one who wants to reach the truth, and Oni-chan, who wants to trick me and chase me out into a 1998 where I'm all alone. All this time, I've kept on saying that Oni-chan was foolish and naive, and now I see that I was more naive than anyone else. Despite this, Burncastle didn't sneer at me. On the contrary, she looked at me with that cold gaze as if to say, "So you've finally taken the first step."
Now do you understand? Your own purpose, and the purpose of that key.
I gripped the key that Oni-chan had hung around my neck, and for a while, I shook with an emotion that even I couldn't understand. Now that I know Oni-chan tricked me, it would be easy to hate him. But hating him would be missing the point. After all, this is a game between me and him. Oni-chan has done nothing but make the optimal moves to win against me. If games aren't just a playful way to communicate, if they're the process that decides who wins and loses, then there can be no fair games. The best strategy is obviously to hit your opponent with a sneak attack and defeat them before they even know what's going on, never even telling them the rules. In that sense, Oni-chan hasn't done anything wrong. He's using that sickly sweet illusion to trick me and force me out into a lonely future. They'll be the only ones having a good time in the cat box, and I'll be the only one chased out. Thank you. I'm grateful. I think I've finally been able to truly open my eyes.
Please, don't hate Battler. After all, one-sidedly tricking the opponent is what game masters do.
I know. Oni-chan took the best option from his position. That's all there is to it. So, I need to make the best possible moves from my position. My goal is now clear. October 4th and 5th, 1986. What happened in Little Kanchima that day? I need to tear off the veil covering the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. Oni-chan gave me this key, probably because he wants me to put it into the keyhole of his choosing. That's why he keeps showing me this sentimental illusion. But I won't be fooled anymore. I'll open the door I want to open. Certainly. This is more my kind of tale than one with an Ange who does whatever battlers say. In that case, I really will hand things over to you now. Tell Ange. Tell her where the keyhole that leads to the truth is. Tell me, where is the keyhole? Very well. Have a seat, first of all. I will bring it over right now. When Featherine rose from her rocking chair, my vision seemed to twist and bend. What? Some kind of interference? Why now, when Featherine's about to show me something important? Is my head getting suddenly... I dug my fingernails into my knees, clenching my teeth to keep from losing consciousness. However, the world just kept twisting more and more. Except for the feel of the sofa beneath me, I couldn't sense anything at all. Missy. Didn't you just call her Miss in the other end? It doesn't matter. That's fine. Huh? It looks like she's here. The door opened, and Hachijo Toya appeared. What's going on? This isn't the world of witches, but the world of humans? I was sitting on a sofa, and Amakusa was behind me. There's no need to feel confused. Featherine and Hachijo Toya are the same being. To her, the difference between the two worlds is a trivial thing. To put it in the words of that lover of theater going, it's like having a slightly different background behind the stage. So, there was no reason for me to feel hesitant. Should I call you Hachijo this time? How complicated names are, even though both of us are still here, just like before. You have to wonder what to call me. True. Calling you Featherine would be a bit rude to you now. To an actor, the names of the parts they play are only temporary. Precisely, child of man. Featherine? Amakusa's eyes went wide as he wondered what I was suddenly talking about. I ignored him and continued. So, what are you going to show me? As I spoke, my eyes were caught by that heavy-looking object she held under her arm. At a glance, it looked like an encyclopedia with fancy biting. Do you know what this is? As Featherine spoke, she set the heavy object on the table. My first thought was of a grimoire. The heavy book had a mysterious, mystical feel to it, like something Maria Oni-chan might carry around. And the most remarkable feature of it was the large, sturdy lock that held it shut. Why would someone go so far to keep people from reading a book? Why don't you take it and observe the back? The back? I flipped the heavy book over on my lap. And, as soon as I saw it, I gave a small gasp. Eva. Ushiromiya. Ushiromiya Eva. Without a doubt, those words were written there in English letters. What is this? Aunt Eva's diary? Could this be that rumored... Do you know something about this? Just a rumor. They say that President Eva had a secret diary and that she always kept it locked up. They say she took it with her everywhere she went. At least, that's what I heard from one of the other bodyguards. A secret diary? And why is that here? It was in the hospital room where Ushiromiya Eva passed away. This diary was hidden behind her bed. So, it remained in that room for some time after her death before it was found. It was probably someone who worked for the hospital, or else a patient or their family who happened to find it. Of course, by that time, there was a huge movement dedicated to the Dokonjima mystery. A locked diary found in the hospital room where Ushiromiya Eva spent her last moments would be absolutely priceless. The discoverer probably handed it over in secret to one of the witch hunters who would be able to accurately determine its worth. Luckily, the witch hunters who got their hands on this book were all noble and upright people. Not content to boorishly destroy the lock and reveal the truth, they simply satisfied themselves with the fact that the truth of that day slumbered just on the other side of this mysterious lock. Thanks to that, Eva's diary has remained undamaged to this very day. It is already known that Natsuhi, wife of Kraus, the eldest son of Kinzo, sealed all of her complaints and repressed feelings by writing them down in a diary, which she treated like a sort of charm. So, Aunt Eva did the same thing? It's possible, at least. Unlocking the hinges of this diary would be a pain even if you did have the key. It's sealed up tight like a corset. Amakusa was right. This wasn't a diary made to be casually opened and reminisced over. It's probably safe to assume that this diary was used to forget things by writing them down and sealing them away, just like Ushiromiya Natsuhi's. And on top of that, Eva brought it with her into her hospital room, then hid it behind the bed without telling anyone about it. Don't tell me that diary contains... Are you saying Aunt Eva wrote down what happened that day? By reading its contents, you will probably learn everything. However, we don't know where the key that unlocks it is. I jumped. Then, I looked down at my chest. That's where my brother hung that key. Huh? It's gone. The key is gone. What's wrong, Missy? What key? It's been hanging from my neck the whole time, hasn't it? I never noticed it. You had a key hanging from your neck? I understood almost immediately. In the world of humans, I haven't found the key. The me with the key is on the game board in the world of witches. Make me the me with the key. I'm going to unlock this diary. Featherine lifted a finger, spun it around, and the world twisted again. When I returned to Featherine's study, the key faded back into existence, hanging from my neck. But at the same time, the diary on my lap faded out of existence. Where'd the diary go? It should exist somewhere on the game board. Since it is one of the keyholes you are to be given, it must exist somewhere. Did Oni-chan hide it somewhere?
Since Battler is trying to make this a game between you and him, it probably isn't completely hidden.
What do you mean? Even if Balor thinks of it as a king that mustn't be taken, there would be no game unless it existed somewhere on this board. In other words, it's somewhere in the Ushinomiya mansion. Or you may already have been given an opportunity to witness it. Like how a swindler has already hidden a trap in microscopic letters on the first page of a contract you sign.
If Battler follows the rules of mystery as the Game Master, clues must be shown. So the choice that leads to Balor's defeat must also have been shown. Ange, try and remember. You should have seen Ava's diary already in Balor's world.
In that instant, from the back of my mind, drifted the very first scene of this final game. In the chapel. A book lying on the altar, a book with a lock on it. As soon as I showed interest in that book, my brother suddenly got serious and told me not to touch it. That was on Ava's diary.
That's right. Ushinomiya Ava's diary. The book of the single truth, with the truth of that day written inside it.
The book of the single truth? And is the truth really written inside it? After all, there's a chance that it's just something Aunt Ava... I'll give it to you in red truth. Ushinomiya Ava's diary, the book of the single truth, has written within it the truth of Rokkanjima during October 4th and 5th, 1986. Well, I think that's a good point to end it for now. Because I have to be up early and, the throat problems. But yeah, we made a lot of good progress. I think, yeah, I wasn't expecting to get this far today actually, so that's good. And now we know who did it, who done it. And maybe we're going to find out who done the everything, I guess. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see next week. Yeah, gosh. Yes, okay. Time to call it quits for today. I'm just gonna... Yeah, things are definitely gearing up. And there's a lot of cool and interesting and important stuff coming up later on. There's still a lot to go. And it's gonna be great. I promise. Bring tissues. I've been saying that a lot, but it's no less true now. And yeah, I don't know. Got about I think between 4 and 6 more episodes, so that's not a whole lot. It kind of depends on how much time I can spend on the Wednesdays, and also on just how quickly I go through it in general, and if, the voice problems persist. I hope not. thoughts and prayers for my vocal cords, please. I'm sure I'll be fine though. Finishing just after Halloween would be pretty cool actually, but I think it's before then. Because if it's 6 weeks, that would be before, right? Because it's September. Not if you stretch it out to deliberately land on it. Yeah, I mean, what I could do, and this is very doable potentially. I could try to aim to end it on October 5th, which is a Wednesday. Anything can be true if you lie. I don't think that's how that works. I'll do some checking to see how long we have to go, and if it's feasible to get to the end on October 5th, that would be amazing. I'll have a look at that. I do think that that's very manageable. That's 5 weeks. 1, 2, yeah, I can count. Well, it would fit the right month, but that's also when, like, the Rokonjima incident happens, you know, so... Yeah, I think that would be really cool. Don't worry, it's ingrained in my brain at this point. Because I do say it a lot during the series, and I've read it twice, and, you know, read all the fan theories when the games were being released, and every year on those days, the 4th and the 5th, I do think about Umineko now. If I ever meet anyone with like a birthday on one of those days, it's like, oh, it's the Umineko day. And they're gonna look at me like, what? What are you, what? Are you a nerd by any chance? And yes, I am. I think, yeah, I'll see. I'll probably tilt there, yeah. If they did go Me Too, that would be nice. If they go like, yes, the Umineko day, that would be even better. Anyway. I'm gonna see if I can aim for that, because it also depends on if I need to get up early on Thursdays for work, stuff like that. But, we'll give it a go, what I'm not gonna do, though, is rush it, just to get to that date. We're gonna have an episode on that day anyway, and that's cool, no matter what. Even if it's... No matter if it's the last one or not, it's cool. And, yeah. Wednesdays are magic this year. Because we also had the Umineko anniversary on a Wednesday. It was all meant to be. Okay. I'm going to try to get the VOD for this episode up as soon as possible. Ideally a little earlier than normal. So keep an eye out for that if you want. And, we'll be back next week with more Umineko, and then we're gonna find out what I'm just gonna do next, basically. And, that'll definitely go well and fine, and totally according to someone's plans. Yes. Alright, anyway, in the meantime, have a great night, have a great week, have a great... all the time. Maybe consider dropping by on Monday, want to do another stream. If not, that's cool too. Either way, have a good one, see you again next time. Thank you, as always, for watching. Bye bye.